It's tax day, and Carrie Underwood is flipping through her pay stubs. It's been a whirlwind year for the country pop superstar. A performance at Donald's inauguration, a new Hulu special, a return to American Idol as a judge. But there's one paycheck she doesn't recognize. Honey, do we know a bandsplaining? She says to her doting husband Mike. Oh yes, baby pie, that's the YouTuber we demonetized. Remember, the one who algorithmically proved that you sang the most American song of all time? Oh yeah, that's right, she replies. She studies the check another moment before crumpling it in her hand and flicking it into the trash. What are you doing, Smoochkins? That's $2,500. We could get a new smoker for the pool house. Not worth the trouble, she responds. Well, at least donate it to charity. You're too funny, hubby. Oh, I love you too, my little bumblebee.
Okay, maybe that's not exactly how it went down, but hey guys, normally I make videos about music history, but this is a topic that's been appearing with increased urgency on the music commentary side of YouTube. It's something threatening to drive creators like myself out of business, or at least off the platform. It's making videos worse and also is harming independent musicians. I'm talking about copyright IDs and fair use. We're going to go back in time a little to explain the history of copyright on YouTube, how we got to this place. But throughout this video, I'll also be interjecting some personal anecdotes from a recent video release. Call it a week in the life of a YouTuber.
Hour 0. Bandsplaining releases the most American songs of all time, according to chart data. Views are up. The click-through rate is high. Bandsplaining is sleeping well tonight.
YouTube in 2005. What a time to be a teenager with a T3 connection. A search bar of infinite possibilities. Pink Floyd live in Pompeii. TV shows from the BBC. There were whole movies to watch, ad-free, provided you didn't mind breaking it up in 10-minute intervals at 240p. And there was always the risk of... damn. So what is this DMCA anyway? It turns out this is where the story actually begins. 10 years earlier, when the US Congress realized they needed to update copyright law for the digital age. Gone were the days of holding a tape recorder against your radio. Suddenly, internet users could transfer songs and movies through the air with virtually no degradation of quality. Congress wanted to prevent the coming copyright apocalypse, but without pulling the whole internet down in the process. The problem was that service providers like Google, Yahoo, and later YouTube had no way of reviewing every single piece of content on their servers, considering the massive volume of user-generated content being added every second. I mean, how many of you would have hung around MySpace if each upload, each AOL message had to be manually approved with a 24-hour waiting period? So the DMCA offered a compromise. As long as these platforms provided an email address where copyright holders could submit a takedown request and promptly removed the copyrighted material, among other provisions, they would be shielded from liability. Both sides shook hands and the internet prospered. For the first year of YouTube, this was basically all that existed in the way of copyright enforcement. A measly email address on their contact page. Meanwhile, YouTube's popularity was exploding, accounting for some 10% of all web browsing traffic. For users, it was a Wild West era remembered fondly. For copyright holders, it was a nightmare. By the time you sent one takedown request, 10 more uploads would resurface. In 2007, Viacom sued YouTube, claiming that 150,000 videos containing Viacom property had amassed 1.5 billion views, causing an undefined sum in lost revenue, presumably millions. YouTube recognized that the fate of their platform was on the line, and something had to change. So they began striking deals with major copyright holders, such as film studios and record labels, and in 2007 introduced the Content ID system. This was huge. Rather than sit there all day firing off copyright emails until their wrists fell off, a record label could sit back, let the machine identify user-uploaded versions of their songs, and rather than delete them, monetize these videos in their favor. Media companies were starting to recognize that user-generated content could have a bigger cultural impact than their official releases. Fan-made music videos could be more popular than professional ones. A compilation of Family Guy clips could easily rack up more views than full episodes. The Content ID system is the compromise that allowed the quirkiness of YouTube to flourish, while also giving copyright holders fair compensation. And they all lived happily ever after. Well, no. As time has gone on, copyright holders, or as I'll be focusing on in this video, record labels, have become far more strict about flagging videos. Whereas their policy may have once been to detect uploads like these, the system is now flagging videos that contain mere seconds of their music, even if it's incidental or in the background. As a result, creators like myself are increasingly waking up to emails like,
Hour 21. After being live nearly a full day, tragedy strikes with 3 copyright claims from Sony Music. Bandsplaining decides to delete the video and re-upload with the audio segments removed. Many great comments are lost, and they are mourned.
So why am I uploading videos that contain copyrighted music in the first place? Isn't it obvious that's a bad idea? Am I stupid? Yes, but that's beside the point. To answer this question, we need to introduce another controversial topic: fair use. Flash the word fair use to a room of YouTubers and you'll get the whole gambit of responses. For many channels, it's the lifeblood that enables them to create the kinds of videos they do. But it's also a very poorly understood and frequently misapplied concept. And this is why many YouTubers cringe when a channel that's blatantly plagiarizing someone else cries fair use like it's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
I declare fair use.
Fair use is a codified doctrine in US copyright law that allows creators to reuse limited portions of copyrighted material under certain conditions. Perhaps you've wondered why The Daily Show can play so many news clips, or why Saturday Night Live can parody real movies, songs, and brands, or why YouTube channels can insert memes from The Office. The answer is fair use, and more specifically, the legal protections that exist for things like commentary and parody. Loosely speaking, there are 5 common categories where fair use often applies. These aren't explicitly mentioned in the law, they've been shaped by court decisions over time, but we won't get into that right now. In many ways, fair use is what allows us to have a functioning media. If a major public figure makes a speech with potentially dramatic global consequences, you should be able to quote and analyze their words without fear of a copyright lawsuit. That would be pretty dystopian. Or we could lower the stakes and say a YouTuber, perhaps, who's trying to explain the difference between bossa nova and tropicalia. I could explain it verbally, I could draw a diagram, but at the end of the day, you're not really going to understand until you just listen. Now, of course, there are limitations. You can't simply publish a full song, add a few comments at the end, and then claim it's fair use. The law actually provides this 4-factor test to determine whether or not fair use is applicable, and the amount of material used and its potential effect on market value are key factors. If my video replaces the need to go stream an artist on their official channels, that's an issue. Likewise, if a reaction video uses too much of the original without adequately reacting to it, that's also an issue. For bandsplaining, we get around this by only playing music when we're specifically discussing that artist or song, and only playing it long enough to get the point across, typically less than 10 seconds. Still, that doesn't prevent YouTube's automated system from detecting them.
Hour 48. Foolishly believing the worst was behind them. Day 3 begins with a brand new copyright claim for bandsplaining. This time for Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats, an especially important track for the video. The outlook is grim.
In this recent video of ours that was 31 minutes, Carrie Underwood's song played for 6 seconds, and then later for 7. All the rest of it is interviews, commentary, graphics, data, but due to this mere 13 seconds, Carrie can walk away with all of the ad revenue. And she did.
Day 4. Over the weekend, Bandsplaining fires off emails to Carrie Underwood's record label and manager, asking if they can release the claim, else her music will have to be muted, and future generations will not understand the American classic that is Before He Cheats.
Now, credit to YouTube, they are kind enough to check your video for copyright matches before publishing, and if any are found, you can simply edit and re-upload. This is a tool we use extensively for bandsplaining. Every new video gets put through the ringer, and more often than not, we're trimming or replacing a few songs to get it up to code. Officially, there's no exact rule on how much of a copyrighted song you're allowed to play before YouTube's automatic scanner detects it, but through trial and error, I've found it to be about 10 seconds. 10 seconds is decent. For bandsplaining, it's usually just long enough to make whatever point we wanted about Soviet rock or Chinese post-punk. It is totally arbitrary. There's nothing in YouTube's support documentation about it, but presumably, YouTube recognized that setting the sensitivity of their copyright detector to this precise level would maintain that balance of quirkiness and fairness that's allowed the site to prosper. Whole communities of music reviewers, film reviewers, sports analysts, historians, and video essayists of all kinds have emerged specifically thanks to this roughly 10-second rule. But again, it's also a totally unwritten policy that can change with the drop of a hat. Lately, I've noticed more and more songs under 10 seconds that are being flagged. So now I only use up to 7 seconds. What stinks is that videos already published are not grandfathered in. So routinely, I'm finding videos that I published years ago are suddenly demonetized, and it's way too late to edit and re-upload. Furthermore, as I discovered with Sony Music and Carrie Underwood, even when a video passes YouTube's copyright check, a rights holder can still submit a claim manually, anytime they want, for any length of music, 1 second in an hour-long video. And again, credit to YouTube, they do give you some pretty cool tools to resolve copyright claims on your own. You can trim or mute the song in question. There's even an AI feature that will mute the song without muting your narration on top of it. The only problem is this tool is not available for claims that were submitted manually. And in my case, the time codes are not even accurate. They include a few seconds before and after the song is actually played, meaning that trimming it or muting it will also remove a few lines of narration, making my video awkward and incomplete. But if you have to do it, you have to do it.
Day 6. It's Monday afternoon, and Carrie Underwood's team is still giving bandsplaining the cold shoulder. Not wanting to miss out on any more revenue while the video is going viral, bandsplaining takes a deep breath and clicks mute on her groundbreaking music.
But, hey now, what about the dispute process? YouTube does give you a form to explain why your video is fair use. The problem is, YouTube doesn't actually read it. This dispute gets sent to the claimant, the very one who reported your video in the first place, and it's up to them to approve or reject it. I have never had nor personally heard of a successful copyright dispute. Even when I faced the absurd claim that bandsplaining had plagiarized my life as a Rolling Stone, a TV show that aired 5 months after our video was released, my dispute was still rejected. Even the laws of time and space are not enough to win a dispute. There is an option to take things a step further. If your dispute has been rejected, YouTube does give you the option to file an appeal. But they also make it very clear that doing so can lead to a copyright strike, which can have serious consequences for a channel. While some people claim to have appealed and come out successfully, the general consensus is don't do it. It's not worth the strike on your channel. Honestly, I don't know what to think about this debate. And if you are somebody who successfully appeals on the basis of fair use, I'd love to hear more about it. Finally, there's the issue of even when you do everything right, you receive a copyright claim, you suck it up, you mute the audio, you deal with the hole in your video, the claim still doesn't go away.
Day 7. Despite having muted Carrie Underwood's song a full 24 hours earlier, the copyright claim still hasn't been lifted. Carrie Underwood is still earning all the ad revenue from the video. YouTube support says it may need one more day to process.
Okay guys, quick pause from the video. I just want to thank everyone who's been stepping up and supporting us on Patreon while all this has been happening. Bandsplaining is just myself, editor Aldo, and our sometimes animator Party Coletta. We're totally independent, there's no media group or corporation behind this. We're just 2.5 guys making videos about the music we love. The Patreon is something I'm super proud of. Aldo and I record follow-up podcasts to every video, and we post bonus episodes. Like this one where we did a deep dive into the musical influence of Beavis and Butthead, and the band whose career they accidentally destroyed. While I'm always down to hear your topic suggestions anywhere, if you join the Patreon, I will say that we'll make a very sincere effort to cover your topic in at least a podcast episode. Maybe you can even join us as a guest. Alright, that's all for now. Back to Carrie Underwood. Now, I realize it may sound like I'm just ragging on YouTube, but I'm not. Another factor that admittedly took me a while to understand is that legally, YouTube pretty much has their hands tied. In a perfect world, I'd love it if YouTube could watch my video and say, okay, clearly this is fair use. Or heck, train an AI to do it. But YouTube cannot legally make this determination. It all goes back to that document, the DMCA. All YouTube can do is receive a takedown request and then follow through with it. If they don't, they lose their safe harbor status. And suddenly, copyright holders could sue YouTube directly. That would be the end of YouTube as we know it. What I think is a more effective solution is to try to get this message out to record labels. Because at the end of the day, having their music discussed in a documentary or album review and played for 5 to 10 seconds is always going to be better than having their track muted. Mansplaining is not the biggest channel in the world, but we've been able to bring attention to lesser-known bands, who, at times, even get a noticeable bump in streams or record sales. I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but rather to convey the pit in my stomach that forms when I wake up to a copyright claim from a small, independent artist. It's apparent to me that their label just signed up for Audium or TuneCore, believing that they're tapping into free YouTube money, and don't understand the consequences. Now I either have to mute the artist, causing them to miss out on potential fans, or accept that the video will be demonetized. Either way, I'm basically forced to blacklist the artist from future videos, as they've now indicated to me that they don't want coverage, and will punish me for it. So let me repeat. If you're an independent artist or record label who is about to check the box to collect revenue from YouTube, please be aware of the risks. Please double check the videos that you're demonetizing to make sure you aren't harming yourself. Or at the very least, make it possible for me to contact you. I swear we will both be happier. Even for major artists like Carrie Underwood, who obviously doesn't need the mansplaining bump, completely removing yourself from the YouTube commentator sphere seems like a poor way to build a legacy. I mean, isn't having the most American song of all time kind of cool? Maybe?
Day 8. The 48-hour processing window passes, but the copyright claim is still active. YouTube support says they need to reprocess the video, and that will be another 48 hours. Meanwhile, Carrie keeps raking in the bucks, despite her song being fully muted.
And look, I understand that for artists, having unauthorized copies of your music floating around YouTube is frustrating. Having your music used in an ad campaign without your permission is infuriating. Being a creator of any kind who's been plagiarized is totally demoralizing, and I know this because I've experienced it personally. But we don't have to decide one or the other. We can fight obvious instances of plagiarism while also protecting obvious instances of fair use. For the borderline cases, we can pull out our popcorn and see what the jury decides. Furthermore, I love YouTube, but they do have some culpability in this mess. While I realize mansplaining is only the 305,000th largest channel, and YouTube can only dedicate so many resources to somebody our size, having only this chat form to reach out when there's a glaring issue, being told repeatedly to wait 48 hours before contacting them again, and then finally, after 10 days, getting my case escalated, only to be told it will be another week before I hear back. As nice as it is to receive this silver plaque, I would gladly return it if the money could be used for a few more support agents. Maybe a phone line we could use once a year for extremely urgent matters. Finally, after 13 days, I woke up to a peculiar sight. Carrie Underwood's name no longer greeted my eyes when I logged into the YouTube app. The copyright claim was gone, and with it, my pseudo-alimony payments. Of course, I wouldn't be getting back what she'd already taken, and the video had already peaked in views, but it was better than nothing. Going forward, we learned some valuable lessons. The amount of copyrighted music we'll be playing will now be shorter. We'll be recording more cover versions that beat detection, and we'll preemptively add these warnings that the music might be muted. And I guess I should address one final point. That is, why rely on YouTube ad revenue in the first place? Can't you make money from other means like sponsorships? Yes and no. Especially for a channel like Bandsplaining, where we're not just choosing topics based on what will go viral, but rather the things we find interesting. Some videos blow up and others don't. And that makes sponsors pretty hesitant to work with us. I mean, if you do have a cool music startup, yes, send a message. We'll figure something out. I'm a lot more keen on Patreon, since this is a potentially more stable income. And as I mentioned before, it gives us a creative outlet to post video follow-ups, podcasts, and other cool things we wouldn't otherwise do. I'm definitely open to hearing your guys' feedback on what you'd like to see more of. And seriously, a tremendous thank you to everyone who's already subscribed. At the end of the day, I'm super grateful to have this job, even if I have to pay for a celebrity's haircut now and then. And fear not, I will keep playing this copyright cat and mouse game no matter what. Okay guys, see you soon.